evening and welcome to Hungary Report, starting off public media at once foreign language news hour. I'm Csenga Gabriela Iboya with today's news from Hungary and the Carpathian Basin. Let's begin. A multiple-page letter has come into the possession of public media in which one of the commissioners of the United Nations attacks Hungary while siding with Ahmed H., the Syrian man who was sentenced to 5 years in prison for acts of terror. According to the UN Commissioner, compared to the Hungarian court's decision, Ahmed H., or as she writes in her letter dozens of times, Mr. Hamed, is not a terrorist, while the rights of Hungarians are constantly being violated.
The situation was almost warlike at the border in September 2015. Hundreds of illegal immigrants were screaming, kicking the fence, and attacking Hungarian officers protecting the border. They were only able to stop the crowd using tear gas and jets of water. One of the voices of the crowd was Ahmed H. He yelled into a megaphone at first and incited the immigrants, then threw rocks at Hungarian police officers protecting the border. He later stepped onto Hungarian territory illegally. For that, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison for committing an act of terrorism and was expelled from the country for 10 years. Several people stood by the Syrian terrorist since then, and now the UN has also sided with the terrorist. One of the UN's human rights commissioners wants to launch a procedure against Hungary. She wrote a letter to the Hungarian Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade expressing her opinion that Ahmed H.'s rights were infringed upon in Hungary. Fiú Nuala ní Aulain also wrote that Hungarian laws on terrorism violate human rights, and so according to her, Ahmed H., or how she referred to him, Mr. Hamed, is not a terrorist. It's appalling that the UN is siding with terrorists, Péter SZIJJÁRTÓ said in Pozsony, where the V4s met with the Turkish Foreign Affairs Minister. The Hungarian Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade said that the UN has become an attorney for terrorists. What's happening now is that the UN is encouraging the world's two most dangerous processes at the same time. They're encouraging migration and terrorists, he said. Ahmed H. has served 2/3 of his sentence so far. He was taken from the prison in Tiszalök to the custody of immigration policing and has been waiting ever since to leave Hungary, but so far no country is willing to accept him.
Frans Timmermans, the main candidate of pro-migration forces of the EU, is continuously threatening and trying to lecture Hungary, said FIDESZ Balázs Hídvégi. Timmermans gave 2 interviews in which he criticized the anti-migration policies of V4 countries, especially singling out Hungary. With some very weird logic, the politician came to the conclusion that the reason why the Schengen zone might fall apart and why there's once again border control in many countries inside the Schengen zone is not because of illegal immigrants, but because Hungary doesn't accept any illegal migrants. Wages have increased even more in February than they did in January, with a yearly average of 12%. Even if we subtract inflation, wages are worth at least 8% more in shops than they were compared to a year ago. The continuation should be the same, as companies can only keep their workforces if they keep increasing wages.
Construction projects are ongoing all over the country. There is no shortage of work when it comes to this sector at the moment, but there is a shortage of well-trained workers and professionals. Companies have to keep increasing wages in order to hold on to their employees. Thanks to that, wages increased by more than 12% in February in a yearly comparison, so gross wages are now very close to 350,000 forints or 1,080 euros a month. Furthermore, real wages have also increased, as they are more than 9% more compared to February last year, which means that our money is also worth more. The Minister of Finance, currently in Kazakhstan, said about the new data that, with the expansion of the economy and the growing number of jobs, wages are also increasing. If we compared the changes in wages either to 2010 or 2014, we can see that wages have increased the most in Hungary regionally, which means that they've grown much more than in Poland, the Czech Republic or Slovakia, the finance minister said. MIHÁLY VARGA also said that just like before, the government will continue to strive to have the same kind of wage increases in the public sector as they have in the private.
In the area of tax and customs digitalization, cooperation between Hungary and Kazakhstan could be strengthened thanks to the agreement signed by VARGA, Minister of Finance, and the Kazakh Minister of Finance. VARGA said the Hungarian tax system was one of the most competitive in the European Union, and he indicated that the interest of foreign investors in Hungary is reinforced by falling tax burdens, especially the lowest corporate tax in the EU. The minister was greeted by the mayor of the capital of Kazakhstan, with whom VARGA had a meeting about Hungary's partaking in the refurbishment of the water utility system of the city. Thanks to alternative purchasing options and the Hungarian oil safety stockpiling system, the domestic fuel market is uninterrupted in spite of the transportation of oil being stopped due to Russian oil pollution. This is what the State Secretary for Energy and Climate Policy said. PÉTER KADERJÁK said László Palković has decided to partially release the crude oil emergency reserve, making 400,000 tons of oil available to MOL. He added that in order to provide alternative supplies, the MOL group is striving to increase supplies through the Adria pipelines. Józsi Pápai has said goodbye to his fans. The Hungarian singer will soon make his way to Tel Aviv, while he represents our nation at the Eurovision Song Festival this year. The singer will perform his song, Az én apám, or My Father, on May 14th in the first semi-final, where he'll be seventh singer on stage. The final will be held on the 18th of May.
The song that Józsi Pápai entered public media's show with this year, and the moment that the singer found out that he is the one to take his song, My Father, to the Eurovision Song Contest in Tel Aviv. Józsi Pápai is the first performer in the history of the song who won the national final twice. He represented Hungary and Kiev 2 years ago with his song Híradó, which finished in 8th place. The singer is leaving for Israel in a few days. He said goodbye to his fans on Tuesday. Józsi Pápai told M1 News that his new song is also full of emotions. He trusts that people will feel them and that they'll enjoy the song. We prepared a lot and thought a lot about how to shake up this production, but I think we finally have everything we need to perform well in this next competition, he said. The 64th Eurovision Song Contest will be held from May 14th to the 18th. Representatives of 41 countries will be participating in the competition. Viewers will see Józsi Pápai in the first final on May 14th with his song, My Father. The big final will be held on May 18th, and public media's Duna channel will be broadcasting it live.
In the tropical rainforest house, hundreds of Central American exotic butterflies can be observed in the botanical garden of Szeged. They provide 70% humidity at 30 to 35 degrees Celsius for the animals. The chrysalis or cocoons are brought to Szeged all the way from Costa Rica. Walking through the walkway, 18 butterfly species, nearly 400 colorful tropical representatives can be seen by visitors. It is also worth checking out the plants of the botanical garden. The Heroes' Gate was built in the mid-1930s at the entrance to VESZPRÉM Castle. The building became a gateway to the ancient past and a monument to the heroes of the World Wars. The function of the original monument was only used until the end of the 1940s. As a result of the communist-Stalinist era and occupation, they were considered to be a gatekeeper and monument of undesirable memories. The building was renovated from EU funds. In 2014, the Heroes' Gate opened its doors once again. Below, an exhibition, while above, a lookout awaits visitors. And that's all for now, but don't forget, you can catch Hungary Reports every night after 11 p.m. news and online as always. Do stick around and watch our German, Russian and Chinese language news. Thank you for watching and have a lovely evening.